Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Historical Humans podcast. This episode on season 2 is going to be about Mansa Musa, one of the wealthiest men in the world. My name's Justin Woods, and I'm joined today by my fellow co-host Colum Coleman and Aaron Gilpin. And today we are just going to be talking about one of, if not the wealthiest man in all of antiquity, people that would put Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, hell, even Jeff Bezos to shame.
Yes.
This is a bit.
Y-
This isn't
uh,
quite as old as antiquity.
yeah. In fact, just because we do actually have the numbers, they come up later very relevantly.
Do we
In
actually?
2012, people actually did attempt to calculate his wealth, and though the exact extent of his personal wealth is, unfortunately, forever unknown due to the mines from which he got his gold and other resources being a closely guarded state secret of the Mali. He was estimated to have at least a minimum what's the word for a person net worth. He had a minimum net worth of at least 400 billion US dollars in 2012 currency.
Wow.
Ooh,
400 billion,
man,
making
Bezos
him
really doesn't have shit on him.
yeah, making him the wealthiest man to ever live.
Which, since 2012, inflation has gone up quite a bit. So I wonder what that number would be now. I would probably guesstimate in the mid, like, 530, 540s.
Yeah. Who knows? And again,
Wow.
this is the known wealth of Mansa Musa, i.e., what we can track that he could spend.
Oh, that's so
I,
sad because there's a lot of ways to have intangible wealth as well.
Is
I mean, honestly,
basically we're estimating his wealth solely from his expense reports. Which, if the mob has taught history anything, those are never accurate.
yeah.
They're always lowballing that.
Not to mention, either they're lowballing it or people who received that money were probably like, or at least there during this 2 year extravaganza, probably overhyped it because
Oh,
that's fun. Yeah, yeah, folks. Sometimes people in the past lie.
yeah.
Yeah, but
I don't
I'm
actually
not
think.
doubting this man was in fact the richest man who ever
you think
lived, but
someone's gonna say
how?
like, ah, yes, he sold me this item for 12,000 pieces of gold instead of the listed 20?
Right? Like, I mean, yeah, guys.
One one of the things we do have is we know he spent all his money on his pilgrimage, and we know how much money he brought with him, simply because the weight of the gold and the number of pack animals he brought. We know
This
how
man,
the weight of gold does not change.
Oh, jeez.
the
But
absolute mad lad.
we can get into all that in a minute here, because first we have to sort of well, we're going to need to establish Mansa Musa and his pilgrimage to Mecca and all the things he does. First and foremost of which we need to understand the Mali Empire uh, as the base code, because he is Mansa Musa of the Mali. Uh, the Mali Empire was established in 1235 by a man known as Sundiata Keita of the Mandinka people. It began with the founding of the city of Niani between the Niger and Senegal rivers. And like many fledgling nations, it began with a hell of a lot of violence. um, Sundiata was a highly successful warlord, and he was also a very cunning strategist because the city he built happened to be located on some wonderful reserves of iron and gold, which very quickly expanded into some wonderful reserves of salt.
That's
Now,
convenient.
now,
Hmm.
gold
So,
and salt are some of the most profitable materials in the 13th century.
so I have a question real quick.
Yeah.
Uh, we don't really talk much about sub-Saharan, even I mean sub-Saharan Africa as we know as a phrase, but I have learned that the term sub-Saharan is often used pejoratively. Um, so for folks at home who didn't know, I did learn that, but apparently it's
Care to
since the
explain the word
60s.
pejoratively to the rest of the audience?
Think of it as like a slur,
Insult.
insult. Yeah,
Insult.
that's a better
It's
one.
not on the same level of a slur. It's more of an insult.
Yeah. But anyway, we don't really talk about that part of the world in the 1300s, right?
Yeah.
Mansa Musa goes
Yeah.
in.
Yeah,
Okay,
this is the 1200s, 13th century. We're looking
13th
at
century.
12. We're looking at 1235 right now.
Okay, so 13th, 14th to 14th century. We don't
Yeah.
really talk too much, like since we have a very European centric idea of history, as most people at home probably uh, have. Well, if you've made it this far into the series and have
What?
watched for a while, you know what we mean, like how history is taught from a European point of view. So we don't really talk about the trans-Sahara trade routes, which honestly is kind of insane that this man traversed the Sahara and then made his way to Egypt with all this gold and was just having the time of his life.
You're getting way ahead of yourself here.
Yeah.
We are
Oh, sorry.
we are currently talking about Sundiata Keita, the founder of the Mali Empire, to sort of give an idea of what the Mali are and where Mansa Musa is coming from when he does his big voyage.
This area was known by now to like most people, like uh, within North Africa at least, right?
So, fun fact, Mali is not on the map until Mansa Musa. It is on the
Really?
map. It is
He
considered
put it on
it,
the
it,
map.
it is considered a regional power in that it is known to the states of West Africa. However, it is a total unknown east of what would now be, say, Libya or Tunisia. It is a total unknown. There is also a total unknown north of, say, Granada in Spain. It is a local power.
Okay, I was curious.
Mansa Musa puts it on the map. However, in order to get there, Sundiata Keita has to found the Mali Empire. He does this by building by taking his people, inhabiting a region rich in gold and iron, and then conquering the neighboring salt-rich regions to further fund his empire.
So civilization existed in Africa before Europeans got there.
Long before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he takes out several other tribes. The Mali are a warrior people at heart for a lot of their history.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Salt.
Isn't their capital Timbuktu?
No, that would be the Songhai. And
Okay.
Timbuktu will come up later because Timbuktu plays a crucial role in Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca.
I'm really excited about this,
Yeah.
especially after all the years of hearing, I'm going to kick your butt all the way to Timbuktu. It's like, what is that?
The Songhai were more focused on warfare than the Mali, but the Mali could fund a far better and longer army.
That's interesting. I like that.
Yeah. So anyway, the presence, however, of these deposits was a closely guarded state secret. Only the Mali government knew how it got its wealth. In order to maintain the air of supernatural supremacy, of just keeping the mystery alive that we are this, mystical, powerful people, they would regularly claim that all their gold came from the gold fruit tree that grew in remote and hidden parts of the Mali Empire.
A money tree?
A golden fruit money tree.
And let me tell you, Mansa Musa said this a lot when he went on his pilgrimage, and people believed him because you do not question the man that is throwing golden idols at you to buy a sandwich.
That's like,
just imagine like pulling up to a sandwich shop like, hello, good peasant. Yes, I will give you one golden idol for a sandwich. And the shopkeep is just like, this would pay 10 years of salary for myself and all of my staff.
sir, this is Subway.
Yeah.
Just go and find Caleb at the Jimmy John's and just say,
Right.
Here, take this golden camel. I want a sandwich.
It's like not a hollowed out golden. It's a full golden,
Wait,
like
no,
inside more
you're telling
like
me that
molded.
Mansa Musa was the like historic version of Mr. Beast.
Yes, that is exactly the sort of persona he wants to cultivate when he goes on his pilgrimage. That is what he wants Mali to be known for. He wants it to be known as the land where people rain gold.
Oh no.
Justin, I'll never forgive you for saying that.
Yeah.
Think about it, Aaron. He
I'm
turned
never going to forgive you. Stay in New Hampshire.
Mr. Beast is turning Greenville, North Carolina into the version of Mali that Mansa Musa cultivated.
Colby, I'm
So, so the Mali Empire
Woo.
that grows from Sundiata here and will grow to encompass 24,000 square kilometers, including all or most of the following nations currently on the world map: Burkina Faso, Chad, the Gambia, Guinea, Mali, Mauritania, Niger, Nigeria, and Senegal.
So basically, what? Oh,
Basically,
this is the perfect
basically the
connection.
entirety of like the Horn of Africa.
You're telling me that they were united and under one legion before the Europeans came.
Long before the Europeans come.
wait. They,
Most of this conquest occurs by like 1400.
Oh, I
I
know.
didn't think they got that far.
I'm just pointing out the fact that all of those modern nations are because Europeans decided to like subdivide that whole region.
Yeah. And if you're wondering how it is that the Mali Empire of old ceases to be, well, it lasts from 1235 to 1670.
Oh, what happened in 1670?
Don't.
The Portuguese.
No!
I really wish
It's
we
always-
could just have the Portuguese national anthem start playing.
Like the flag. You just need to come in and add this with like a flag overlay.
Everybody, see, if for those of you who don't know at home, the Portuguese who founded the colony of Brazil and were very, very sadistic.
And they were very prolific, which they would travel very far, and they were a standard colonial nation that believed in certain levels of supremacy in trade and conquest, which is a...
The thing with the Portuguese is they don't necessarily conquer you. They just know how to drain you of all your resources from a distance.
They're look up Portuguese history.
The Portuguese colonial endeavors are an expert at causing total economic collapse in any territory they move next to.
And if you'd like to hear a podcast episode on it, leave a comment down below, and we might add one to the next season.
Don't make me do it.
I've made you talk about Brasilia. I will make you talk about the Portuguese.
No, I don't want to. I don't want to go back to Portugal. All right,
You sound like Maximilian.
Long enough. But moving on, we come finally to our main topic: Musa the First of Mali, who is an interesting man in the fact that no one can figure out exactly when he ruled. He either ruled from 1307 to 1332. There's your 1300s, Aaron.
Yay!
Or from 1312 to 1337.
5 years.
What gets incredibly annoying about this is most historians of the time record his actions not in terms of the year, but in terms of the year relative to when he took the throne. So on the 20th year of his reign, Musa did this. And so we have a 5-year window in which that could have happened.
Interesting.
It makes tracking events incredibly annoying.
Hate to be those researchers who have to figure it out.
Yeah, that sounds like not our job.
Yeah. Yes, Musa was either the grandson or grandnephew of Sundiata, the founder of the Mali Empire. Once again, we don't know. Again, the family lineage is a little obscure, getting from the like semi-mythical but very much real founder of the empire to Musa. Because they're sort of the two big figures in the early Mali Empire, and what goes on in the like 70 years between when one reign starts versus when the other starts is kind of a jumble. Oh dear God, is it a jumble? And a fun thing here is, most people think that his name is Mansa, like that would be his first name, and his last name would be Musa, would be the family name. That is not the case. Mansa is the Mali term for emperor.
Oh, okay.
So
Emperor Musa.
Yeah, he's going around as Emperor Musa of the Mali.
Ah, fancy.
It's sort of like how the Romans use Caesar or the Russians use Tsar. It's the word in the language for emperor.
Even though Tsar is
Kaiser in
based from
German.
Caesar.
Yeah, which is why
Tsar, Kaiser.
Everything
Kaiser
comes back
Wilhelm
to
is just
fucking
emperor.
Rome.
Yes, it does, because all roads lead there, motherfucker.
All right, settle down. We've been out of sorts and out of order this entire episode.
Yeah,
I am
right.
getting us to the end. So help me God. So Mali itself was a West African empire and is now a modern West African nation, barring about 300 years of colonial intervention. A little window there, separating the two. In 1324, Musa goes out of his way to make a name for himself in the world when he takes the Hajj, which is the Muslim religious pilgrimage to Mecca. And when he does this, he is regarded as the wealthiest person to ever live, because we've estimated him to be worth at least 400 billion US dollars.
So much money. Who needs that much money?
Don't say that too loud. Elon might hear you.
He does. He actually doesn't. He actually doesn't need that much money. He will, but he doesn't at the time.
I like how his wealth literally put Mali on the map, though, because everyone's like, they have that much gold.
Oh yeah.
Because I love the way in which he displayed it too, because it wasn't just like beasts of burden full of gold. No, everyone had gold on them too.
Yeah, he just like gave it to people. He wasn't giving it to charities that turned out to be for profit and took a cut.
No. No.
That's right. I'm gonna sneak these critiques.
Listen, that would have 100% happened. Please, sir, I'm a leper. I have no eyes.
See,
You've cured my blindness. Have you no sense of the con of 1300s?
Listen,
Many cons.
see, when it's like that, it's different because the individual isn't
What
getting
about
the
the
money
great
and he can
con?
actually use it. When it comes to the charities, okay, fine.
All right.
Different rabbit hole for another day.
Settle. By the way, we can all see you porn on the screen.
Damn right.
Just
it's that hour.
So yeah, his pilgrimage to Mecca, it really wakes heaven up to it. The Arab chroniclers that see him or hear of him, they make the claim that the glittering of his procession put Africa's sun to shame.
That's a badass claim. Like, you are so shiny and glittery.
Now, the sun in Africa, specifically, say, Egypt, where these chroniclers were, is not a dull, distant, cold sun.
It's a hot, shiny, glittery
It is a bright, burning ball of fire in the sky that can and will try to kill you.
Goodness gracious, great ball of fire.
And we're back to 1950, everybody. Gonna get kicked off the air because someone shook their ankle on TV.
Oh no!
Elvis Presley is gyrating his hips.
Okay, but
Yeah.
the sun was very shiny, and their procession was so glimmery that these chroniclers wrote stories of how brightly they shine. Like, modern rappers with all their ice would be put to shame because this dude was coming up just ice to the nines.
Ice to the 9 kills.
His entourage, his personal entourage, was larger than most armies in the world at that time.
Oh my god.
The number of people it took for Mansa Musa to travel on this trip, he required a personal retinue of 60,000 people.
Okay,
Yikes.
but to be fair, when you have that much gold, you need that many people to protect it.
No, they didn't have many people to carry it. This included a personal retinue of 12,000 slaves, whose whole job was to tend to the emperor and carry golden sticks.
That's a
Awesome.
lot.
12,000 people, whole reason for existing was to do this one job.
Sucks
the
that
whole
they're
reason.
slaves. Like, don't agree with that, but wow, just to
That
tend to them and carry gold.
Yeah. Everyone in his entire procession, including the slaves and the soldiers and everyone else, wore Persian silks and brocade, which is a type of silk that the thread is interwoven with silver and gold. The people are literally walking in golden clothes.
Jeez.
Okay, that could have been good in the sun.
Actually, if it's Persian, that might have been very soft and flowy and very airy.
The robes were designed to be very breezy and very light, which you kind of need when the thread is made of gold.
That is insane. And like that level of comfort, even like leaders of certain nations wouldn't be decked out that extravagantly.
I mean, that's also extreme skill to not only make gold thread, but to use it in
All
like
of that just drives up the cost
textiles.
because you have to have very skilled artisans for that.
60,000 people. He had to pay to have 60,000 people fitted and dressed like that.
Jeez, what happened? Like, if someone did that for me, I would hand and foot for them. Like, I would do anything.
Yeah.
We used to be a society. Now all we get as men are nice suits, and that's it. I want gold thread on all of my flowy robes.
Persian silk only.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, you're looking at all these wonderful things, and you've seen the procession, but you've not seen the emperor. For the emperor only appears on horseback, well, immediately preceded by a separate set of 500 slaves, each of which must carry a golden staff, which I understand to be taller than the person carrying it. So just a massive golden pike to herald his arrival.
Wow. So you get close, they'll all beat you with giant golden sticks.
You will be beaten. Yeah. But it's and then in the back of the parade, after everyone has passed through, the real wealth comes in. Because here we have Mansa Musa's spending money in order to buy all the things that he's going to need on his trip. His spending cash comes in a baggage train of 80 camels, each of which was set to carry 300 pounds of gold.
That's a lot. Hold on a second.
That is, I do believe, something like 29,400 pounds.
24,000 pounds.
24,000. There we go.
You just do 8 times 3.
Yeah, no. My math is tired.
You know, I suck at math. I failed it in high school, but that was, yeah. So 24,000 pounds of gold, which hang on. I'm very curious about this, even though I just
the spending money.
I just made a lot of noise. I wonder what the gold weight is now. Gold per pound.
Like the price?
Yeah. In 2022, it was 22,372.
Oh no.
22,372 times 24,000.
We're doing math here.
That in itself is $500 million in just spending money. Literally $530 million he just had.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a lot. So we know there's like an absurd amount of gold that he is just bringing with him. Can
Yeah.
we actually track and see where this gold is? Like nowadays, like is it? Because
Technically, you could just by doing mass spectrometry. If you're able to find gold that was definitively a part of his collection, and if it was all mined from the same location and forged in the same place, it should all have a similar signature in terms of the chemical compounds. However, with that being said, to have that much gold, it was probably sourced from a lot of different places. And I really don't think you would be able to definitively tell the provenance of the gold just based off of that. Because it could be
that's
smelted, it could be alloyed.
Yeah, and also people would have likely resmelted the various gold in the 700 years since, just because he's spending it as he's spending it. Um, Interestingly enough, Mali that Mansa Musa rules when he starts out in his pilgrimage is about half to maybe 2/3 the size of the empire's final extent.
fair.
So he's his income does come from a large area. He is not. It's not a small kingdom. Like I said, it's a regional power.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um,
So
but
just
yes,
kind of interesting to see that amount of wealth that he had just on that alone. That again doesn't account for all the robes, the just pure capital you need to have that many people in your servitude, the soldiers, the camels, like that all costs money
yeah,
to buy.
yeah. Just the cost of maintaining this many people in your employ. Um, I mean, it's a 60,000. It's a 60,000 person retinue. Um, the pilgrimage he takes, his Hajj, covers 4,000 miles and took him 2 full years to complete. Um,
Sheesh.
Part of that is him being him, and part of that is some fun events that we're going to get to talk about in a little bit, because in those 2 years, the Mali Empire is not idle.
Oh no.
Oh, I mean, I can
Very fun,
imagine.
very fun things happen. So his Hajj begins in the Mali capital of Niani. From there, he travels along the upper Niger River to Walata, which is now a part of Mauritania. From there, he heads to Tuat, which is now in Algeria. Tuat was the trade center for Central Africa. This was the jumping off point for the major trade routes going into Spain, into Egypt, and down into West Africa. This is probably the last major port in which Mali is a common and well known name as a trading nation. Simply because he has passed through about 2 other nations just to get here. Um, yes, from there, he makes his way to Cairo, Egypt, and from Cairo, he heads to Mecca. Now, in Cairo, he delays,
Oh no.
and things start to happen. First thing he does when he gets to Egypt is he goes to Giza and spends 3 days camping under the pyramids, reveling in the sight of the wonder of the world that is the Great Pyramids of Giza.
I would too.
Yeah, it's perfectly normal thing. Then he decides to settle in Cairo for 3 months.
Oh no.
Um,
Uh, he just
and
brings an extra 60,000 folks to a city.
and just starts
Yeah.
living there. Yeah. Shit starts to go sideways with him. His visit actually nearly causes a major diplomatic incident between Egypt and Mali because what happens is the the behavior of his procession, by all accounts, is exemplary. He and his people are kind, they are generous, they are polite. So you think that would mean you're good there. You're not going to cause a major problem with this, literal army of humans that you've just plopped down in someone else's city. Except Musa was so absorbed in the religious aspect of the Hajj, in making religious observances, in prayer, in sermons, in ritual, that he actually refuses invitation
Oh no.
from the Sultan of Egypt to meet with him.
Oh.
So much so that his own advisors have to beg him to reconsider, and he only reluctantly does. And before you think that, okay, maybe Egypt is, a minor puppet state, maybe it's a small
No.
sultanate at this time, because Egypt has been known to be a small sultanate, especially when the Khans start running over them, it becomes a minor power briefly. That is not the case. Egypt is the political and military center of the Islamic world at this time. Egypt is the strongest sultanate on the face of the map.
That's amazing. And this man just said,
And this
"Shove it."
no-name nation ruler just refuses to meet him after carrying an army of people into his city. That's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Let's see how it works out for him.
What makes it even worse for Musa is that the Sultan al-Malik al-Nasir is one of the most powerful Mamluk sultans in the history of Egypt. This is one of the strongest leaders the nation had produced.
Oh, man.
He is one of the wealthiest, most powerful, and most capable leaders that they had.
So how did they finally compromise and make up for it?
Well, his reluctance was almost a very serious affront, and the biggest issue that came down to it was that both Musa and al-Malik expected the other to bow to them upon meeting. The Sultan, because this was his court, his home, he is a sultan, and he is the sultan of the most powerful Islamic state in the world at this time. Musa, because he is an emperor and knows no superior except for Allah himself.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
And the Sultan's counter to this is basically, I am a sultan, you are a Mansa. Sultans are ordained, by Allah. We have a divine right. Mansas are not. And the only way they get around this is they both agree that upon entering the Sultan's court, Musa would bow before Allah. He would bow before the divinity, not the man. And thus he does not bow to al-Malik, but instead bows to God.
That's fair.
He does so by bowing not directly at the Sultan, but in the direction of Mecca, I believe.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This is considered a political hotspot, political
this is a political
gaffe.
Additionally, to show his goodwill, Musa sent a gift of 50,000 dinars to the Sultan. Wow. As a sign of his courtesy and respect.
And just a straight up bribe, let's be real.
That's essentially what you do.
The man is the living definition of more money than God. Why wouldn't you use it like that?
God, that's like Mr. Beast meeting with a congressman going, here's $50,000, thanks for meeting with me.
No, that's what lobbyists do.
That's called ExxonMobil, Justin.
Look, they hire people to go in there. I'm talking a single person, okay? Not a corporation. We know that.
No. Remember, legally, they do count as one person.
Yeah.
Thanks to 2008.
Anyways,
enough American politics in our story about
the ancient past. The ancient past connected to the modern day. Who would have thought?
Yeah, I'm just trying to draw parallels, okay? And y'all are shutting me down.
Yeah, I know.
Y'all, it's just him.
I'm trying to keep order here because I know we're gonna go on a political rant, and I need to keep you in line.
Money.
Save us all. Yes,
Money.
please help. We're dealing with rich people in history. This is not good for us. We should not be allowed to do this.
We should eat them.
We are waging a class war here, apparently.
Wait a minute. History's all been class wars?
Eat the rich.
Who would have thought?
Anyway.
Why do I hear Marx in the background?
Eat the rich.
What's that, Marx? The only thing we have to lose is our chains?
Oh, no.
You don't say. Tell me more.
Things get worse in Cairo.
How? What does he
Worse,
do?
I
Does he
get
just
more- I
throw
mean,
too much
more
gold around?
We get, and by worse I mean more expensive here.
Oh no! What happened?
As
Gentrification.
Musa spends so much money in Cairo that the markets of the city are flooded with gold. So much so that a historian known as Al-Umari visits Cairo 12 years after Mansa Musa departs and describes the people as still telling stories of the fabulous wealth of this man. Well, the markets have still not recovered. The value of gold is still depressed over a decade later from the spending of this one man alone. It is estimated that the initial depreciation of gold in the city was 25%. What that means is everything became 25% more expensive.
Oh, well, that sucks.
Because the gold was worth less. He basically caused inflation at a higher rate in that city. He caused everything to go up in price and the value of the gold to go down just by how much he threw around.
Now, if you're thinking that might be easy, that Cairo might be, say, a relatively small establishment like
Well, yeah,
some
he brought
other
60,000
capitals.
people, so how big could the city have been?
Yeah. Like a number of other capitals at this time are sitting at less than 500,000 people, less than 400,000. Capitals, especially in Europe,
London at this time is like 30,000.
Yeah, capitals can be incredibly small here. So you think, okay, maybe he outdid them. No, Cairo had a population of approximately 1 million at the time of Mansa Musa's arrival. So he managed to cause a 25% inflation rate in a city of 1 million just by living there for 3 months, for a quarter of a year.
You'll get money, you'll get money, you'll get money, you'll get money, you'll get money.
God damn.
Yep.
He can move to my city for 3 months.
A big part of this too is the fact that Mansa Musa didn't just buy things. He didn't go in when he saw something he liked and paid for it. He would also, because you had something he liked, or because you were there and asked him, throw literal ingots of gold to people.
You know, that's gotta be fun. You're just like riding through town on your horse, just yeeting gold at people, just clocking them over the head, but they're not mad because you just gave them like a lifetime worth of money.
You, sir, you look poor. Have some gold. Donk.
It's like you there, urchin, go long.
I'm not an urchin. My parents are there. The gold just like kills the parents. It's like, well, you're an orphan now. Have some gold.
Think fast, just think fast.
He's riding too quick through town, ends up stomping some kid's mother, just hands him a gold ingot, like, oh, here, sorry, kid.
Is it gonna be like one of those like cartoons where like the parade just starts marching as the guy falls in the street and no one will stop and they just keep going over him?
Marching band stop for no one.
Except it's just Mansa Musa's entire procession just stomping over.
Yeah. And here come the golden staff bearers, another 500 people.
They're just twirling them, throwing them up like old batons. Here comes the golden baton twirlers.
Now, do you want to know the best part of this? You want to know the best part of this is apparently Allah had a sense of humor.
Why? Oh no.
Because God gave Mansa Musa a little bit of a karmic comeback for being so frivolous with his spending and not having the prudence and humility to spend wisely. As by the time he makes it back to Cairo from Mecca, Mansa Musa has no money. In order to afford the cost of living to get back to his own territory, he has to borrow gold he gave away from the local merchants of Cairo
Are you telling me this man?
at what I have no doubt would have been predatory interest rates if there
Oh,
ever were ones.
Oh yeah, I'll totally pay it back. Goodbye forever.
that is honestly karmic justice, but that's also like you almost gotta respect it just a touch because that man gave away everything. It's not like he spent it. I mean,
Yeah.
he probably spent it extravagantly, but if you're giving away that much, like, I can't hate it, genuinely, especially at this rate where we have people amassing so much wealth and just hoarding it.
Yeah.
Seven
How much?
hundred
How,
of
how much?
people in the U.S. own more than 50% of the wealth in this country.
Yeah. Anyway, and yeah. And Justin, how much money did you say the gold on those camels was?
Equivalent to about 536 billion or $1 million, not billion,
Yeah.
million,
Yeah.
million.
So yeah. So he had over $500 million in discretionary income on those camels. That is the money he's using for this trip. He has spent all of that, and he's little over halfway done.
Did he buy a pyramid or something?
Aaron, let's also keep in mind that the estimated totals are about 400 billion. So even if he did spend
He would
530 billion, he still spent
30 million.
he
He
spent what?
he spent less than he spent 1/8 of his net worth.
Less than that.
One
Less
eighth
than
of a
that.
percent of
Yeah.
his net. Sorry, 1/8 of
Oh
one
my
percent of his
god.
net worth was what he brought with him on this trip in terms of discretionary income. So yeah, it really was nothing to him, but it is hilarious that he had to ask for a loan.
That that amount of money is hurting my brain to comprehend.
What I wouldn't do.
So,
This is the real answer for
hey,
when
hey,
someone says,
Mansa
"Where
Musa,
would you
what
like
would
to
you give
time
me for a
travel?"
Klondike bar?
Like 1300s Cairo when Mansa Musa shows up.
How would
Like,
you transport it back? You would genuinely struggle to move that much gold into the modern era.
I don't need a lot. I just need enough to live
Oh
comfortably.
no, if I'm
Man,
going back in that time, I'm taking all of
hey,
it.
Emperor, how much for the camel? Oh, you'll give it to me.
The camel's free too? Thanks, sir. Now I know the Bible says it's harder to fit a camel through the eye of a needle for a rich man to get into heaven. But what about a teleportation portal to the modern day?
Oh, it's
Oh
a
my
good
god.
thing. It's a good thing we're using the Quran here.
Oh, is that not in it?
Oh no.
Yes.
Different prophet. Different prophet. The Quran and the Bible, I believe, both share an Old Testament. However, they do not share the New Testament, from which I believe that quote comes from.
Hell
Though I'm
yeah.
not entirely certain. I kind of was like, so yeah,
Until proven wrong, I'm taking the camel.
yeah, yeah.
Now, what was the reason he took the obviously in Islam you're supposed to take the Hajj at least once in a lifetime, but I'm sure he did it for more than just religious purposes. You're not flaunting that kind of wealth accidentally.
Yeah. Yes, he had a major political motivation, as one tends to have when you are the emperor of the richest nation the world has ever seen or ever will see again. Um, he wanted people to know the name Mali. He wanted people to understand that he was the emperor of a wealthy and powerful nation. He wanted Mali to be on maps. He wanted to be a household name. He wanted the glory.
Well, and also I think he's probably one of the one of the smarter historic leaders in realizing that hey, you know, maybe tourism and bringing merchants in can help my empire and help benefit my wealth and maybe hermiting a kingdom isn't the best.
Yeah, because he definitely feels limited by the markets in Tuat, and he wants to draw in people from the rest of the world, diplomats, scholars, tourists, merchants. He's got a great money making machine. But what's the point of all these salt mines if you have no one to sell your salt to?
I was gonna say, I think Cairo is a good example of basically the issue that he had. Of he had so much wealth and so much material money, but he genuinely just could not spend it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yep.
that's a fucked up problem to have. How do you deal with that? Like, what do you do?
Well,
Invest in crypto, of course.
Oh,
no, do not do this. Do not
10
do this.
emotional
For the sake of
damage.
your future financial security and to not look like a douche, we at Historical Humans do not recommend cryptocurrency investment.
Unless it's
Uh,
historical.
Do not, do not. Someone will make that. We do not have the rights to
We
that.
do not have a crypto
Uh,
token yet.
yes.
However, if you can crash the market to Dogecoin again, we will thank you.
Oh, yeah. That's where all of our investments
Yeah.
are.
Yep. Anyway, he in addition to this, he also wanted to do some talent scouting. Namely, he went out and drafted up a couple descendants of the Prophet Muhammad. He gathered 4 of them so that they could be brought back to Mali and bless it with their footprints, so that Mali would become a religious pilgrimage site worthy of smaller scale Hajjs, and thus encourage more Muslim nations to visit.
Did it work?
Yes.
Wait, really?
Oh yeah. This is where all those sayings about Timbuktu that Aaron was mentioning start coming into happening.
Really?
Oh, okay.
We're
Yeah.
off to Timbuktu.
Yep. Uh, he wants them to bless Mali and create pilgrimage sites. And well, they do not necessarily do that to the extent that he may have wanted. It doesn't quite catch on as much. It does get him that foot in the door that he needs to start bringing in the other things that do.
Gotta get the money, money, money.
But before we get to that, we do have to talk about how Mali gets Timbuktu, because at the time that Musa leaves for his Hajj, Timbuktu is a proud and long-standing part of the Songhai Empire. And by the time he gets back, it's not.
Oh, so while he was gone, his generals were busy.
Yep.
Good. That's a good way to run your empire. Like, let them have the reins for a little bit and expand it, and you get the glory.
Yes, a man by the name of Sagamandir was one of Musa's generals, who led the Mali conquest of the Songhai Empire. Now, Songhai was not a small empire. It was a very large one. It contained several hundred miles. It was probably the largest single chunk Mali ever conquers in one go. Its conquest cements Mali's place as the largest empire in the world at the time. Like I said, they're about 2/3 their final size when he leaves. They're almost all the way there by the time he comes back.
Wow.
His empire is so large that it is said to take a whole year to travel from one end to the other. However, that it does seem to be a slight exaggeration, as the 14th century historian and traveler Ibn Battuta notes that it took him 4 months to reach the capital of Niani from the northern border of the Mali Empire. Niani is located in the south of the Mali Empire. The Mali tended to expand northward from their capital rather than southward.
Interesting.
If they had gone southward, they probably would have ended up invading the Congo.
They probably should have. That would have been a good investment for the modern day. That's the only place to get cobalt.
Yep. Yes. Mansa Musa's wealth comes from time-traveling cell phones.
Oh my god.
Right.
He's selling cobalt to them from the past.
He's selling it to the future.
Oh.
Hey, I'll give you a loan for one of those camels and some cobalt.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's cobalt.
Have you heard
the cobalt?
It's like, have you heard of Bitcoin? Sell Mansa Musa on Bitcoin.
Ooh.
You would try to pay him in Chuck E. Cheese tokens. You know it.
No,
Damn
I
right I
would. That would
would.
be my scam. I would trade him gold for Chuck E. Cheese coins, the token of the future.
Yeah.
Who is this strange mouse on here? That
That is
is
our great
Charles
leader.
Charles
Entertainment
E. Cheese.
Charles
It's like,
Entertainment Cheese. Use
no,
the
no, that's
government.
what you tell him. It's like, it's an old coin. It features some strange Egyptian god. Convince him it's a historic artifact.
Oh man.
We should not be allowed to have access to anything resembling
Do you
time travel
understand how
or
much
power
chaos I would
or
cause?
authority
The
or
butterfly
anything.
effect, no, we'll just crash every economy ever.
Yeah. Anyway, Sagamandir is a very effective general. He personally leads the capture of the Songhai capital of Gao, and his conquest results in the incorporation of both Gao and Timbuktu into the Mali Empire. Now, Musa is so overjoyed by the news that his empire has conquered its largest and most powerful neighbor well on the religious pilgrimage. He sees it as a blessing from Allah, a divine, right to his wealth and power, to the never-ending glory of his empire.
The divinity, it runs strong.
That he decides to delay his return from his pilgrimage to personally visit the conquered capital of Gao and personally take the sons of the last Songhai king as hostages to ensure a long and prosperous rule of the new territory.
Gotta love good old politics. What happened to taking your political enemy's children hostage?
Yeah, I know, it really fell out of fashion. Quite unfortunate.
Oh no.
Anyway.
Don Jr. screams from Biden's basement.
Well, no, you're supposed to take people the other leader cares about.
Well, then you could only take Trump.
Yeah, that's it. Anyway.
Musa then commissions a man known as Abu Ishaq al-Sahili to build mosques in both Gao and Timbuktu. Now, al-Sahili was a Granadan poet and architect that Musa had met while in Mecca, and who had agreed to return to Musa to see this wondrous land that Musa claimed to rule. He came to see Mali, to see where the hell all these golden trumpeteers came from.
I don't blame him. I see a man throwing around that kind of wealth. I want to go, where are you coming from?
Now, for those who do not know, Granada is a part of Spain, which is at this time largely Muslim, and will be for about another 250 years. So yeah, he brings this guy back, and Al-Sahili builds the Gao Mosque out of burnt bricks, which had never been used as building material in West Africa before. He's bringing back new forms of architecture, new ways of building. His whole little, bring the rest of the world into Mali is starting to pay dividends the minute he gets into his newly conquered territory.
Well, yeah, because all these people are following him back and literally just like, okay, well, we're gonna see what this is all about. He achieved his goal. He flashed enough wealth and flaunted enough wealth that he attributed new business there.
Yeah. He grows Timbuktu into a major international trading hub using the connections from his pilgrimage. He basically takes everyone who followed him back to Timbuktu and says, this is the best jumping off point you're ever going to get for directly trading with the Mali. Go tell everyone. They did. He is basically trading with everything from Constantinople to Seville at this time.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
that is very impressive.
Yeah, it is insane. He connects Timbuktu with every North African nation from Egypt on westward. Now has a direct emissary in Timbuktu. just for the purposes of trading with this man's ungodly amount of
God
wealth.
damn.
You gotta love the influence and the power. That's honestly respectable.
Yeah. And he then does what I consider to be the most respectable thing that comes from his reign. This is where, arguably, Mansa Musa does true good. And that is that he begins the establishment of the University of Saint-Cor in Timbuktu. Although the university is not fully established within his lifetime, he sets up a part of the city to be a sort of district for scholars. And this grows into the university. He makes sure that there is a teaching center for three very important types of scholar. Theologists for the study of the Quran, of Allah, of religion. Lawyers for the study of laws, both those of Mali and other nations, for the betterment of his society. And finally, historians.
Yay!
For the knowledge of the past. I believe there's a very famous quote. The scholars are the heirs of the prophets, for the prophets leave behind not a legacy of wealth but of knowledge. And that is 100% what he does here. You can tell me what I'm taking that from. Put it in the comments below. I dare you. Yes, I am. I'm ripping something off right there.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No.
Yeah. And the scholastic attraction to Timbuktu grows throughout the Muslim world. It becomes the if Cairo and Egypt were the political military center of the Muslim world and Mecca the spiritual center, Timbuktu becomes the intellectual center.
That's a great way to continue your legacy and your empire, though. You literally inspire people to write histories.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you make it so that you are Timbuktu becomes the Athens of Islam.
Hot damn.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, it's like if you were anybody out there, you had holy men from Mecca, you had scholars from Timbuktu, and you had a military alliance with Egypt. That's what he puts on the map there. He adds himself to the list.
Wow. Very nice.
Yeah.
And now... Oh, go on.
Oh, sorry. No, you can keep talking. I was going to go to the last section here.
Yeah, I was too. I was just segueing to. I was going to say, now, how do Europeans remember Mansa Musa? Because clearly this might have spread, the word of his wealth.
Yeah. Well, there is something called the Catalan Atlas. This is a map of the world created by Spanish cartographers in 1375. Now, I'm using the term Spanish loosely because Spain as a political concept doesn't exist yet. And it was quite annoying for me to try and track down which historical nationality the atlas came from. But suffice to say, this atlas is sort of...
I believe the correct term is Catalan. I think that is a region in Spain that was similar to the Basque or the Baroque.
Yeah. So you think it's Catalonia? Yeah. Oh yeah, it is Catalan. Yeah, that's right. I am an idiot.
They're not similar to the Basque. I will have to tell you
the Basque
that.
is different in a lot of ways.
He's saying like Aragon, Catalan, Basque. All of these are regions in
that had their own area / group.
I think
have their own.
I think if I remember correctly,
divisions.
If I remember correctly, I believe the Catalan region was under Aragon control.
Okay, but you're splitting hairs at this point. We're just talking. It came from the Catalan region.
It got that far. It got that far.
So this is
Mansa Musa was famous.
So this would be Christian Spain. This would be the Christian part of Spain at the time. So this atlas gets spread not only into the Islamic world, but into the European world as well, and it sort of becomes the default atlas for a good chunk of time. It shows West Africa dominated by an image of Mansa Musa, wherein Musa is depicted enthroned, holding a golden nugget in one hand and a golden staff in the other, fully adorned in his royal robes.
Of course. Because it's
And
all about the money, money, money.
This man,
and
oh man,
it is this image that forever cemented Musa in the history of the world, in the popular imagination of the world, in the collective subconscious of the human race, as the wealthiest man who ever lived, as a symbol of wealth. Step aside gods of prosperity. There's a new kid in town.
you're right.
And
Yeah.
it's because of stuff like this that Mansa Musa is long been considered one of the wealthiest individuals in modern history. I mean, there have been some comparisons to, what was it, Rockefeller
Mhm.
at the turn of the century, because very similar to Musa, he had a lot of wealth, just kind of diversified, invested elsewhere, and it's hard to tally a total sum when you have to calculate so many different whole parts.
Yeah. Yeah, but suffice to say, he was ungodly rich. I mean, he spends more money on a vacation than most people will ever, well, than I think almost anyone will ever see in their entire lifetime.
Yeah.
Like we're talking entire generations upon generations upon generations of wealth.
And
Collectively would not compare to what
Yeah.
this man
I
had.
just love
And
that he crashed
it cost
Cairo's
him
economy for a long
for over a
time.
decade.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Like
just like
gold?
Why is
Oh, that
everything
stuff
so
is
expensive here?
useless.
Mansa Musa.
it's like we don't have stock markets yet, but that doesn't mean I can't cause the Great Depression.
Well, no, imagine a traveler coming in and they've got like 100 gold, which to them is a lifetime of wealth, and they walk into Cairo and they're like, "Yes, I would like one room, please," thinking it'd be a few silver, and the keep is like, "Yeah, that'll be 5 gold," and they're like, "What?"
Yeah.
Can you make change for 100?
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Oh, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a good point for us to wrap up for today's episode. If you guys enjoyed, please let us know down below. If there's a topic you'd like to see, we are planning out season 3 now, so please leave comments down below. Give us some ideas for some podcast ideas. And we will see you in 2 weeks with what's our next topic on coming up.
I don't want to talk about that. It's we're going to the dark side for the back half of our season here. We're going to talk about a lot of heady topics and a lot of controversial and tragic topics. The first of which is set up for our next episode. It is going to be
The Cherokee Removal Act.
yeah, or as it's more formally known, the Indian Removal Act and the Cherokee Trail of Tears are kind of all going to be bundled up into that.
Yeah,
That'll be a very heavy episode and a fun one to talk about. So thank you guys for watching, and be sure to tune in. We'll see you then.